There's a lot of great information online, and you can certainly manage your finances yourself. But if you get to a point where you want somebody to help you, maybe give you some individualized guidance, perhaps even manage investments for you, what are the options that you can use online? So let's go through that range of services that's available, and then we'll zoom in on the financial advisors and financial planners, get into some pros and cons, and then go through tips on how to find the right person for you. In no particular order, there are services like financial coaches, and they can help you if you're not going to talk about investing, but you want some help figuring out your budget. So that might be, what is your cash flow like? What are your priorities and goals? Are you spending too much? How could you manage your loans? Those types of things are potentially a good fit for a financial coach. Then you've got Robo Advisors, and these services offer investment management. So you can hand over all of the logistics and have them pick what model and what your pie chart might look like. They can execute all of the trades to buy and sell things and keep it in balance. They might do some tax loss harvesting and have some socially responsible investing or ESG, environmental, social, and governance options available. And they may have additional tools like basic calculators that help you figure out your goals. And then we have what you might call planning Lite. And yes, that is spelled incorrectly. This is just a very basic kind of high-level financial advice service that's available, and you can get this sometimes through those robo-advisors, sometimes it's through the big brokerage firms. They might offer a service where you can talk with somebody. Maybe they're even a CFP or a certified financial planner or somebody with experience in the financial world. Those types of services might be really helpful for basic problems, and you just want a little bit of clarification on what you're doing, and it's primarily around investments, although they will do some bigger picture planning in some cases. One thing to be aware of is that they might have you invest in proprietary products or the products that their brokerage firm, for example, offers. Just something to be aware of. The other thing is that you might not necessarily know who you're working with. You don't know what their expertise is, what their background is, and in some cases you don't necessarily talk to the same person. This is more of a 1-800 number experience, and that might be just fine, and for better or worse, it could be the same person each time or somebody else. They can't necessarily let you know if the person you talked with last time has left the firm. You're just going to get whoever happens to be in that role. And again, that could work well if you just want some questions answered right now. But at some point, you may run into questions and want a more robust solution. And that is where a financial advisor, a full service financial planner might come in handy for you. These are people like me who might work in a particular area. So maybe we focus on retirement planning, or somebody focuses on something else, and they can really help you dig into the details and customize the plan and make a more robust projection of how things might unfold for you and get into some really detailed suggestions on what you can do next. In some cases, advisors are going to want to manage money for you, and in other cases, people will just give you advice on a flat fee or a one-time or an hourly basis. So you have a lot of choices out there, and that's going to lead us into the pros and cons of working with somebody online. By the way, I'm Justin Pritchard. I help people plan for retirement and invest for the future. And in the description below, you're going to find some resources that cover this topic in more detail, and hopefully some other things that can help you plan for the future. Starting with some of the benefits of an online advisor, you're not just stuck with whoever is in your zip code or your circle of acquaintances, whoever you bump into periodically wherever you go. You have a wider geography available. And what that means is you can potentially find somebody who focuses on specifically what you want help with. There's a lot of value to being a generalist, and somebody can help you in a number of different areas. But if you're really primarily interested in one topic, then it might make sense to work with somebody who focuses on that every day. You can also work with somebody who has the service model and the pricing structure that you want. So if you are happy with handing over assets and paying somebody a percentage of assets under management, and you're getting value out of the amount that you're paying them, then that's great. But if you would rather work with somebody on, again, a flat fee or a one-time basis, for example, then you have more of those options available than you might have in your zip code. You can potentially also save time by working with somebody online. There's no need to drive over to an office, go into the waiting room, wait for the meeting to happen, and then everybody wants it to feel like it was worth your time to get over there. So are you going to spend more time than you need going over things that you don't necessarily want to go over? With an online advisor, you can meet from the convenience of your own home. Don't worry about the weather or the traffic, and then you can just spend as much time as it takes to go over the important things and then call it a day. Plus, if you do have additional questions or want to go into more detail, it's really easy to do that without having to go through the whole process again. You can just set up another meeting and get all of your questions answered. You can also research an advisor online and save a lot of time getting to know them and just figuring out if they're a good fit. I mean, are they on the same wavelength as you, or are they somebody you're not going to enjoy working with? Do they have a clean regulatory background? Do they talk about the types of topics that are important to you? Do they have expertise in that area? These are all things that you can get a lot of information about as you look up somebody online. And we'll get into some more tips later on how to do that. And if pricing is important, you can find out about that too in many cases. So an advisor's website might show their pricing, and that can save you the steps of going to a meeting and answering a bunch of questions and asking a bunch of questions before you even get to the topic of pricing, which might be very interesting to you. So what about some potential downsides of working with a financial advisor online? Well, it's not necessarily perfect. It's certainly not a face-to-face relationship or a meeting where you can gauge every clue and cue that is coming out, and so it's a little bit different if you're not used to that. It could also take some extra effort to understand things and share information when you're not in the same place. Communication just might not be quite as easy. Plus, if you're going to talk about highly sensitive topics, maybe emotional type things, it might be less comfortable to do that on a computer. You might prefer to be in a more intimate setting with somebody as you have those difficult discussions. One more potential drawback is that things break, so there may be technical difficulties and you just have to roll with it. And if you're the type of person who gets easily frustrated by those types of things, you might not enjoy the experience. Now, if you're working with an advisor who has good tools and is dedicated to working with people online, that should happen pretty rarely, but it could still happen. So it's best to find an advisor who is really into the online service model so that you're not having to print out things and then maybe scan them and fax them and that sort of thing. Maybe everything with electronic signature is good and secure file sharing vaults. There are a lot of great tools now that help people serve their clients securely and conveniently. So hopefully your advisor is going to use those. And this would be a good time for a friendly reminder that this is just a short video that can't possibly cover everything. So please do a good job of researching your advisor. We're going to talk about how to do that, but make sure you know what you're getting into before you experience any problems. So here are some tips on how to research an advisor and learn who you're working with before you get involved. It's always helpful to see if they have any designations that are specific to your issue. So a CFP or Certified Financial Planner designation is a good one. That's kind of a broad area of knowledge. But if you're getting into something like college planning or retirement planning, you might want somebody who has taken extra steps to get some education in those areas. It's always a good idea to look up an advisor's regulatory history, see if they have any criminal past or customer complaints, that kind of thing, that have gone on their regulatory record, and you can check that on Broker Check. And again, we'll have a link in the description for you to do that. And it's also good to just have some discussions, informally talk about what do they usually do, who do they usually work with, what are they interested in, and what might the client experience be like. So this video that's about to pop up at the top is going to give you some ideas on what questions to ask. That'll get you started, and you'll learn a lot about the person you talk to as you go through that process. And you can probably reduce a lot of conflicts of interest by working with somebody who's a fee-only advisor, and that means they don't get any commissions for selling financial products. Now, that's not to say that commission salespeople are evil. It's just a way to reduce the chances of conflicts of interest. So I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please leave a quick thumbs up. Thank you, and take care.